Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Fanatics video on the channel. It is Thursday and it is time to pick our captains and let you know who my top 10 are for round 4. Not a bad week, I don't think, last week. Well, actually, no, it was, to be fair. Our number 1 pick, 113, Jack McRae, but then our number 2 and 3 picks in Jordan Dawson and Connor Rozee, both sub-hundreds, both sub-90s, both going in the 80s, which was disappointing, but we push on and we look for a better week than what we had last week. Hopefully you guys did have at least the McRae 113 or even a Tom de Koning. I think I can't remember if I had him at 5 or 6, but he was someone that did really well. So yeah, hopefully you guys had a good captain last week, and if you didn't, hopefully we can pick some better ones for you this week. So let's get stuck into who we're picking in round 4 and who our top captains are for the week. So at number 1, shouldn't surprise a lot of people, Dane Zorko is sitting at the number 1 spot. So 148 against Richmond last year, and we just know how good a matchup Richmond are. They're leaking points. We saw what Sinclair did last week. We saw what Nasai did last week. They're giving up lots and lots of points. So I just think Zorko's going to cash in. The only flag would be he would be a guy that if Brisbane are up by 10 goals in the third quarter, does he get just a rest? That would be the only thing I'd be thinking about it. But I just think regardless, I think the matchup's too good. He could be on 100 by that point. So I think the matchup's too good. He's got to be at number 1 for me. I don't have him, unfortunately. But if you do, put the C on him with some confidence. And if not, put him with the VC. And you can see what he does and go into someone on the Sunday. Number 2, I'm sticking with this matchup. I'll toss with 2 and 3 to see who I'd go at 2 and 3. But Josh Dunkley is sitting at number 2. Only scored the 105 against Richmond last year and then scored a 72 the year before where he was injured in that game. So recent history says obviously he's not huge against Richmond, but I just think the matchup is it's too good, right? Dunkley, I think, is going to feast. I believe this game is at the MCG as well, so that I could see Dunkley getting open for a lot of those +6s that he does on the opposite wing when they do switch. So I could see him getting a lot of those. And I see, MCG there. So I see him racking up, and I think I've just got to go with the matchup here and got to back in Josh Dunkley to put up another good score. So he's at number 2. But coming at number 3, Max Gawn. So I put him at 3 instead of 2. Just for Dunkley with the matchup. Dunkley's been more consistent to start the year. And Max Gawn's history against Geelong isn't amazing when you look at it. His last 4, 92, 84, 70, and then 145 re-kick 5 goals. And I think that was that prelim re-kick the 5. So his history isn't great, but I don't always... the history is like a good sort of thing to add in, but it's not everything. Geelong are a great matchup for rucks. And particularly if it's just Sam de Koning, there's no argument to be made that he could be number 1 this week. If it's just Sam de Koning, he could absolutely blitz de Koning in the ruck. Melbourne have got to respond at some point. I don't know if they will or won't, but I think Gawn will be the guy that will stand up yet again. And he's had a couple of tough matchups, a couple of lower scores, but when he has these matchups, he can sometimes really go massive. So he's at number 3. I thought about putting him at 2 with the ceiling and the matchup, but I just thought the fact that Dunkley's been a bit better, I think I've got to go Dunkley just ahead. But Gawn is definitely someone that if you've got him, the VC on the Friday night looks really, really good. Number 4, and the first player that I've got in my team, don't have any of my top 3 this week, but I've got Jordan Dawson at number 4. So I was worried last week, had the calf strapping, apparently was from for a tattoo, so at least it's not an injury, let's put it that way. 85 last week, a lot of mids didn't score well, like Crouch scored a 55, I think LDU was in the 70s, Tom Powers in the 70s. I think obviously Saligo and Rankid both scored well, and even Sheasel got a 90, but he was lucky to get there in the end as well. So a lot of these mids didn't do great in that game. I think the game was just very much on the wings and not really a good game for mids to be scoring. But Dawson against the Gold Coast, his last 4, scored 89 last year. That was in that monsoon in round 1. Remember, he gave away like 3 or 4 free kicks in that game. Only took the 2 marks as well. Then 98, 128, 118. So not too bad. Obviously, last 2 a bit lower, but the other 2 before that were pretty good. Gold Coast, a decent matchup for mids. And I think Jordan Dawson, the captain, going up to Gold Coast, there's not really a designated tagger per se at Gold Coast. So I don't know exactly who would do that job for them. Is it a Will Graham or someone if they go to Dawson? But I just think Dawson can go forward and it's fine. So I like Dawson this week, and he's a good captain option if you're going someone on the Thursday or the Friday night, or he's a good VC going into one of the Brisbane guys on the Saturday night. Number 5, so 2 and 3 were the ones I was tossing up, and 5 and 6 was where I'm tossing up as well. Currently gone with Bailey Smith over Tom De Koning. So Bailey Smith, 126 and 112 to start the year. And I should have mentioned, obviously, Dawson as well. Obviously going very good to start the year, but quite a one last week. But yeah, Bailey Smith, 126, 112 to start the year. Easy matchup against Melbourne. Obviously, we saw what the Melbourne, so Gold Coast mids did to Melbourne last week. Like both Matt Rao, Noah Anderson, Toot Miller, and even Humphrey got a 90. So all scored really well. And his history against Melbourne is actually pretty good as well. So in his last 5 games against Melbourne, Bailey Smith, obviously all for the Dogs, 125, 81, 154, 107, and 96. So a couple of ceiling scores there. So that's what you want with your VC. I think the fact that he started well, Melbourne's a great matchup. Back at GMHBA, where he's averaging 126 this year at home. I like the upside here for Bailey Smith against Melbourne. And he did it with the tackles last week. And he did it with a bit of both in round 1. I have a feeling there's a game coming at some point where he gets the marks and the tackles and puts up a big score. So Bailey Smith for me is coming in at number 5. And at number 6, I've got Tom De Koning. So I was tossing up whether to go him or Bailey Smith at number 5. But De Koning scored 88 last year against Collingwood, sharing with Pitto. But then 132, 107, and 130 to start the year. So all easy matchup. So this is his first, I guess, tougher matchup. It's Collingwood in middle of the road. Darcy Cameron's is okay. I think Tim English scored 100 against him a couple of weeks ago before Collingwood's bye. So yeah, it's a tricky one, him v Smith. That's probably going to be a lot of people's VC call this week. A lot of people are going to go De Koning. I think I've just got Bailey Smith ahead, just with the better matchup. But it's a tough one. I think either or is really good, and you could have made a case for either to be in the top 5 this week. But I like both as potential VC shots. You could even go De Koning into Bailey Smith if you really wanted to. So number 7, Lachie Neale. Still, again, with this Richmond matchup, 122, 127, 107, and 100 in his last 4 games against Richmond. So really good recent history, particularly those last 2. Great matchup. Camden McIntosh might go to him, right? But is he really going to stop Lachie Neale? I don't think so. But yeah, so he's there. I've just gone down the list because there is a chance that if they're up by a fair bit, does he go? He's a guy that would go forward, whereas I think Dunkley and Zorko would stay in their roles. Zorko obviously could be a guy that they sub it early, but yeah, Lachie Neale, number 7, could even a case be made that he could be a lot higher. Tom Green, number 8, scored 120 against West Coast last year in round 1, I believe it was, or round 2. It was round 1 after their opening round. Had a lower game last week. I think he score like in the 90s with 22 handballs. I think this could be a game, though, where he could go quite well at NG Stadium against West Coast. West Coast, great matchup for mids. They're bleeding points, and I think Tom Green could get in on it. So he is at number 8. At number 9, I've got Libba. So Libba at number 9, obviously not huge ownership for him, but if you've got Tom Liberatore, could be a decent captain to come home with in the last game of the round. Obviously, started the year very, very well. 3 tons in a row, including the 142 that he scored last week against Carlton with 30 disposals, 11 tackles, 6 marks, and a goal. So he could be someone that you look at as a captain. Obviously, he's a good captain option while Treloar and Bont are out. So if you want to be a bit spicy, if you've got him as a pod, you might be able to double down and put him as your captain. And then rounding out my top 10, again, 2 names I was tossing up. I went Clayton Oliver against Geelong, so better matchup. Then the next guy I'll talk about. So yeah, Clayton Oliver started the year pretty well. He went the 80. I think I'm just getting his numbers up here. So he went the 84 against GWS in round, or was it 85? Sorry, I'm just getting up right now. So he went 84, against Giants in round 1, then 114, 108 in the last 2 games. Geelong is a good matchup for Clayton Oliver. I think obviously they're an easy matchup for mids. And if you look at Clayton Oliver's history against Geelong as well, averaging 117 in 9 games against them, and 4 games at GMHBA, average of 124.5. So loves playing Geelong. I guess I've just got him down the list because of, I think the other guys got better ceilings. Obviously, Melbourne's a bit, we're not quite sure exactly what's going on with Melbourne at the moment. Obviously, they're not performing as good. I'm just getting Oliver's recent scores against Geelong, right? So he scored a 106 against them last year. So that was even in a bad year for Clayton Oliver. The year before that, I don't believe he played against them. No, he didn't play against him in that game. 2022 scored 99, so not huge. Then going back to 2021, so going back a bit, but 108, and then 2021 he scored a 133. So good recent history against Geelong. Obviously not some ceiling scores, but I do feel like he could put up one here and have his first 120 plus score of the season. This would be the matchup that I think he could do it. The guys that just missed out though, so Lockie Whitfield, the only reason I didn't have him in there is the West Coast matchup for defenders isn't great, but he could easily go well, and I think he's actually still a good captain option, even though he isn't in the top 10, and I'd be happy to put him as a captain on the Sunday, especially if you don't have a few of these guys on the list. Jack Macrae, the Port matchup in Adelaide is tricky, but I think if you want a guy that's a safe 100, I think he's probably the guy that you could go for on the Sunday. So Macrae, not a great matchup, but he's been very good to start the year, scoring 100 in every single game, including the 153, 113 his last two. Noah Anderson, the Crows are just a tougher matchup for mids. That's why he's not there. But obviously we know Noah Anderson is very, very good at home. A lot better. I think it was like a 119 average last year at home or something around there anyway. So he is good at home. Crows just a tougher matchup. And then Tim English could be a smoky as well this week. Has got Freo, so Luke Jackson. That's not a bad matchup, and English could actually go quite well. Has had a few tougher matchups to start the year. He could be someone that you put as a captain in that final game. Just some other ones here to touch on. So we touched on a lot of these guys. Rosie, I'm just worried with the Windhager potential tag there. He could still have a good game, and if Butters is named and we get word before that game that they're not going to be taking Rosie, and they're going to be taking someone else, and that's definitely a play there. He was on 89 midway through the third quarter when he did that hamstring last year. Marshall against Port's not a bad shout as well. Could have easily put him in the top 10. I do just like a few of the options this week. And I guess my only flag with Marshall is, what is his, like, we've seen players have a good couple of games come back from injury, but then they do slow down. That's my only worry with Marshall this week. But he's a good option, and probably one that was quite unlucky actually to miss the top 10, because we know his ceiling's as good as any. But yeah, the sweet matchup's not amazing, and I do like some of these matchups in the top 10 as well, so that's why they're there. Cherry, just the whole hamstring awareness thing, just a bit worried about that. If he plays, I think he could go okay against Brody Grundy, but is a tough matchup already. Obviously, the hamstring stuff, I'm probably just passing on the Big X this week. Finn Callahan could be a smoky in draft. Probably not one I'd look for in Classic, just because I don't think he's got the ceiling to put up the score. Matt Rowe's been great. I think the Crows are going to put some attention to him. Not a tag per se, but maybe keep a close eye on him. I don't think he's going to get as much room as what he did against Melbourne, but he still could have a very, very good game, because we know how good a player Matt Rowe is. Andy Brayshaw, not a bad pick against the Dogs. I just haven't seen the ceiling just yet from him this season, but this could be the game where he goes big. And there's a few other guys here I just don't love the ceilings. Like Caleb Daniel could go okay against Sydney. Obviously, the two St Kilda defenders could go okay as well, but they're not really captain options, I don't think. Max Holmes, a sneaky VC shout maybe for the Friday. I don't mind. I like Hugh McCluggage as a captain in draft. I know a lot of people don't have him in Classic, but against Richmond could be one there. Sheasel could cop the Jordan tag. I wouldn't be shocked if Rowbottom went to LDU and Jordan went to Sheasel. That's something to watch for. So that's a bit of a flag for Sheasel. That's why he's not in the 10. And also the Sydney matchup is tricky. In terms of my captains this week, so at the moment, I'm looking at Bailey Smith, vice-captain, into Jordan Dawson. I've been tossing up Bailey Smith and Tom DeConey as my VC. I'm thinking that a lot of people do go the Thursday night VC. So do I go something a little bit different to try and differentiate myself if both are really good options? That's what I'm thinking of doing. I'm scared not doing the VC on Tom DeConey tonight. He could go big. But I think I just like Bailey Smith's matchup more. That's why I'm going him instead. But I like the DeConey matchup. And I think I saw on the Hat Chat Twitter space, DeConey was my VC. But doing a bit more research on the matchup for Smith and everything, I think I've just got Bailey Smith just ahead of the VC. So, but yeah, Jordan Dawes for me, the captain on the Saturday. So yeah, my captain will be done pretty much nice and early in the week. Hopefully not too stressful. Hopefully Bailey Smith gets it done the Friday, or if I do decide to DeConey tonight, hopefully gets it done and I don't need to worry about Dawson. But regardless, we'll see how it goes this week. But let me know in the comments below, guys, who you guys are going with your VC and C this week. Yeah, make sure you smash like on the video, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. Trying to reach 4K. We're getting close, so if you can hit subscribe and help us reach that goal of 4,000 subscribers and join the 4K club, that would be fantastic. If you want to head over to Patreon and become a Patreon member, patreon.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics. Or if you've got any other questions, you can get the Ask Me on Q service for free being a Patreon member. Or if you just want to use the Ask Me on Q service to get your questions answered there, then head to askmeonq, spelled QU.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics. The links for both those are in the description below. We're back tonight for another watch along for the Collingwood-Carlton game. Big game tonight, so should be a fun one to be doing that one there. And then tomorrow for our pre-lockout chat, as always, at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Perth time. Yeah, we're answering a heap more of your questions there. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Good luck this week with your captains and your trades. And we'll catch you guys in the next video. So thanks guys. I'm out. See ya.